Hi, everybody, and welcome to the More Than Numbers podcast. I'm your host, Bryce, and this week I'm going to be talking soccer, Manchester United, and the debacle again that's happened in the Champions League. We got a lot to discuss. There's always massive issues with United, and it just is what it is with them at this point. So let's get into it. This is going to be a fun one. So, first off, have to start with Onana. Is anybody else seeing how bad this man is right now? I don't know what is going on at United. At this point, I think there's just a curse on us because the players that continually come into the club do not perform at the level that they're bought at. There should be absolutely no reason Onana is performing the way he's performing. Just when you think he's gotten to a level of somewhat consistency, you have a performance like today. It's just ridiculous. And no matter how good the team plays or really not plays, you can't do anything when your goalkeeper lets in the goals that he's letting in. This was one of the biggest reasons that everybody, and I wouldn't say everybody at United, but I think the majority of fans, at least that I had spoken to, felt that it was time to move on from De Gea, myself included. And the biggest reason was not really his distribution. For me, it was the mistakes that he continued to have and the easy goals he continued to let in. Although De Gea would have worldy of saves and sometimes he'd keep you in the game, in that same game, he could potentially be costing you the tie, the lead. That's why you're still in a fight. So De Gea had that give and take to him. And so we were supposed to be getting, number one, a more consistent goalkeeper with his feet. And number two, I think everybody was under the impression that we were getting a goalkeeper that was not mistake prone. Well, boy, are we all wrong. This is embarrassing to the highest degree. And although this is going to be a tough call, I think Onana needs to be benched. It's going to look bad on Ten Hag because you spent $55 million to bring in this goalkeeper to replace De Gea. And, we've been saying you got to give it time. We're almost halfway through the season. And if anybody's really been watching the games, what improvement have you really seen from Onana? Although we've gone on a run in the Premier League of 4 or 5 wins in the last 5 or 6 games, and with a couple of shutouts, and I think he's even leading the league in shutouts for some reason. Most of that is due to this last stretch where we were playing teams like Luton and Everton and all the teams in the bottom and winning 1-0 or barely winning games, okay? And if you've really been watching Manchester United this year, I think it's safe to say that Onana cannot save anything that is not shot directly at him. At this point, he's a ghost in goal because anything shot at him or shot anywhere next to him, it's going right through him at this point. He is atrocious. So what is going on? And I think there's some things that we can point to with Onana, okay? Number one, I think you have to go into, let's think about the teams that he played at before United. Now, I don't know Onana's career fully. Where I came into Onana was in his Ajax run, and then he went to Inter Milan. All right. So if we break down Onana's top tier teams that he's played with, Ajax and Inter. At Ajax, he's playing for the top team at the time. Everybody needs to remember, at the time, he's playing for the top team in the Dutch league. Okay. That was the team that he was playing in is the team that had Van der Beek in it. It had De Jong. It had Blind. It had Zivek, who I think was playing for Galatasaray tonight. I think I just butchered his last name. But they had players, okay? This is the team that went to the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken, in the Champions League. So he was playing with one of the best teams in Europe. Ajax's style is to keep the ball. Not only was he playing with the best team, he was playing with a team that was going to own possession and was rarely, if we are really going to think about it, was rarely coming up against competition that was going to dominate Ajax, which means that Onana was probably not facing a lot of shots, probably wasn't going to be dominated by a lot of teams. And so his saves, or their lack thereof, was probably not going to be as apparent as they are at United right now. So with Ajax, I think it hid his goalkeeping ability, which seems to be very few and far between right now. So what you saw at Ajax was his ability to play with the ball. Where has that gone? I'm not really sure either. So now let's talk about Onana when he goes to Inter Milan. The Italian league is known for their defending. And Inter Milan, I think, was also more focused on defending than United. I think this has had a direct correlation to what we've seen from Onana, or the player we thought we were going to get, to what we actually have now. I think you can really talk about, to me, I see similarities with the Maguire buy, right? You're buying a player that you think is here, but realistically from where they played or how they were playing at the time, it's really this kind of level of player. And I think that we bought a goalkeeper that is not at the level of De Gea, goalkeeping wise. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing for the position of goalkeeper. If you want a tactical player, or if you want a player that can play with his feet, then play a different player in goal. Because at this point, he's not even playing like a goalkeeper. He is atrocious. Let's go through the 3 goals that happened tonight against United, right? Or today, excuse me. So the first goal, right, would be the one that you can kind of be like, it wasn't that bad. Okay. It was a free kick, shoots it through the players that were standing in the wall, right, of his own teammates for Galatasaray. And Onana jumped a little bit to the side, anticipating it going over the wall. Leading to a goal. Not an egregious, essentially, mistake, but one that didn't need to happen. And so you're talking about his decision-making at that point. From that angle, from that distance, okay, it's going to take a lot for it to go over the wall and to beat you. Why are you jumping? There's no reason for it. You have the wall for a reason. If he hits a worldie, he hits a worldie. Everybody can live with that. If he curls it over the wall upper 90, we can live with that. That's an unstoppable shot. But for you to jump early and for it to essentially have been shot exactly where you were standing, and so now it's not saved, you have some question marks on Onana there. Second one, if you want to give Onana a little bit of a little bit of grace, you can say that the Martial not heading the ball away definitely could have distracted him. Okay. However, same kind of thing, you should be expected to make this save. It's a save you should make 100 out of 100 times, as supposedly one of the better goalkeepers in the world. It's a reaction save. It's a no, you're right there. It should not be hidden by yourself into the goal. All of these goals were crucial times for United that completely altered the flow of the game. So now 2-2, third goal. Arguably the one that you could say, well, heck of a strike, right? But I'm sitting here thinking, did that man just get beat near post from that distance? How? How does he not have his angles right? How is he getting beat that badly on the near post? He is in shambles right now, regardless of I don't care what any of you guys say, what anybody says right now. Onana is a massive, let me repeat that, massive issue for United. And I don't know that they're going to be able to really dig themselves out of it. I mean, what you're really looking at having to dig themselves out of this Onana situation is getting a completely new back line, maybe besides Shaw. So both new center backs and another right back, just to help out a weak goalkeeper who can't save anything if it's not shot directly at him. So we're in a that's a massive issue, I think for United right now, regardless of the clean sheets that you've seen in the league. That's more so to do with the competition than really United earning that or playing, realistically to that level. Okay. And we got to see some level of consistency from this guy. If we're sitting here and we're saying like, no, that's a goal that should, not should happen, but that's a fair goal. You want to be sitting here saying, okay, yeah, not constantly scratching your head. Like, did that really go in? Even in one of the goals that was called offsides, that was, VAR, Jesus, who knows if that were really offsides, the Icardi goal. Okay. Again, on a breakaway, this man falls on his ass. I've never seen a goalkeeper fall on his butt more than Onana on one-on-ones. Has he never been trained on them? It's getting shocking. So I'm seeing so many levels of how did this man make it to this level as a goalkeeper? I mean, that's how bad he's actually been playing. So that goes into a level of like scouting and what's going on with the scouting department. But that's been an issue with United for a very, very long time, right? So obviously there really is no scouting department. It's been Ten Hag bringing in the players that he's kind of known, okay? So I don't really know how you fix this at this point. If you bench Onana at this point in time, you've essentially wasted $55 million. Is that the right thing to do at this point in time? Part of me wants to say, a lot of me actually at this point wants to say yes, because every position should be held accountable at the professional level. And just because you're a goalkeeper does not mean that if you're not performing, you get to keep your spot because of the mental aspect of goalkeeper. No, absolutely not. Any other position on the field, if you're not performing, you get replaced or somebody else gets an opportunity. And at this point, you need to see what that backup goalkeeper looks like, because Onana right now is not the answer. I think one of the best things that could happen for Onana is to go away with the African Cup of Nations. You get away from United for a month and a half. Can you get in form, for your national team? Can you come back refreshed? Can you fight for a spot? And then can you be in form? I think that's the only thing I can see right now that can really help Onana is time away from United, right? But he should not, at this point after this game, he should not be playing. And if Ten Hag continues to do so, this just shows me that, even more so that Ten Hag is not the right guy. He had been having way too much faith in Antony for as long as he was having. Now, Antony had a better performance tonight, and better is like, wow, he finally beat some players one-on-one. Ooh, wow, why did he looked a little bit quick for once? Great. But again, nothing really came from Antony. No assists, no goals, no domination. I'm not seeing a true player that can win every one-on-one where he touches the ball and defenders are scared of him. No, that was $100 million player. So you want to have your manager have faith in certain players, but at this point, we're in November, or we're about to be in December, excuse me. He needs to change it. He needs to change it. Onana needs to be a big man and a professional and work his way back into the squad, because this is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.